After Jim Jones went on Club Shay Shay and disrespected Nas and downplayed Clipse like they were some side act, things got messy, fast. What started off like a light convo quickly exploded when Jim had the nerve to question Nas's impact and label Clipse as overrated. Like, what? Pusha T wasn't about to let that fly. The second Jim's comments hit the timeline, Push got surgical. He didn't drop names, but those Instagram posts, those bars at his live show, they cut deep. One line had folks straight up shook. Legends don't beg for relevance, they define it. Ask your favorite who fed them. You already know who that was for. Everyone online could see the target. Push and his brother Malice, aka Clipse, ain't just rappers. They helped build this coke rap lane, that raw street poetry, that was them. So for Jim to throw shade at their catalog, that was wild disrespect. But coming for Nas, man, that's where a lot of people drew the line, including Push himself. Push has always saluted Nas as a real one, a true lyricist who never sold out. And now, insiders say Push might be cooking up a full-on diss track. Yeah, word is he's already laying down heat in the studio. If that track drops, it might trigger a whole new lyrical war in the game. And trust, the internet is buzzing. Fans are taking sides, shots are being fired, and it's looking like rap might finally get back to bars again.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
Some folks think Jim Jones is just chasing clout. Others are eating up the chaos like it's popcorn. But one thing's crystal clear. Pusha T ain't letting this one ride out in silence. With Nas getting disrespected and Clipse's legacy getting stomped on, Push is coming in gloves off. And when he steps into beef, he ain't tossing light jabs. He's known for ending careers. Jim might have just started a fight he ain't built to finish. Lately, Jim's been trending, but for all the wrong reasons. He decided to take shots at two of the most respected names in the game, Nas and Pusha T. What looked like cocky confidence quickly blew up into full-on backlash. Fans, other artists, even big platforms, they all turned their backs fast. Jim called Nas overrated and straight up claimed that Pusha T's influence was hyped up beyond reality. Like that wasn't enough. He even said Nas only went viral because of him. Seriously? One wild take? And Jim tried to erase decades of hip-hop culture, bars, and respect in a single interview? But this wasn't seen as normal rap trash talk. It felt personal.
Like the new song?
No.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
What's so great about
Hooligan? It's so good.
The industry reaction was loud and clear. Jim crossed the line. And now, the same guy who used to be seen as a solid street vet is facing real heat. People are questioning his credibility and wondering if he just played himself trying to go viral. This ain't looking like just some rap opinion going sideways. It's starting to feel like Jim Jones triggered a silent but heavy shift in the industry. Behind the scenes, whispers are getting louder. Some insiders say doors might already be closing. Shows being cut, big names quietly backing away. Oh, it's real, and it's getting messy. That one bold quote Jim thought would boost his image, it might be the same line that ends up dragging his whole rep down.
But he knows
My son can't tell you one Nas record. You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck.
And let's not forget, this didn't happen on some major news platform or aggressive battle show. Nope. Jim dropped this bomb on the Joe and Jada podcast, a chill spot known for light convos, not career-ending drama. But instead of keeping it playful, Jim doubled down with confidence like he had something to prove. He looked straight in the mic and claimed Nas never had the cultural impact people give him credit for. And then he tried to flex, saying his own Billboard numbers matched or even topped Nas's accomplishments. Say what? The arrogance had folks doing double takes. It didn't sound bold. It came off like a complete dismissal of a man who helped build this culture. Let's be real. Nas is a certified icon. His debut Illmatic isn't just a rap classic. It's literally studied in college classrooms, and he's still out here winning with the King's Disease trilogy, showing growth and consistency. But Jim, he tried to spin it like he redefined the whole game by himself. The backlash, inevitable. The fallout, already in motion. Instead of backing off and letting the backlash cool down, Jim Jones doubled down again, this time dragging his own child into the convo, framing it like it was just a generational opinion.
I admired Nas, but remember Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that Beast Kids started to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
But people weren't buying it. To most, it came off like he was using that angle to cover up pure insecurity. And the internet, it went off. Social feeds blew up with comparisons, receipts, and reminders of Nas's legendary run. Decades of awards, platinum plaques, and sold-out arenas. When folks lined up the numbers, Jim's resume just didn't hit the same. But instead of staying quiet or regrouping, Jim popped back up, this time sitting face-to-face with Shannon Sharpe on Nightcap, repeating the same claims, that Nas never had real influence. And then came the wildest part. Jim didn't just call Nas overrated, he said Nas was always second place. But second to who? Jim name-dropped Jay-Z and DMX like that made his point. But here's where it all fell apart. Those three legends played in totally different lanes. Nas gave the world introspective, poetic street wisdom. Jay chased boardrooms and generational wealth.
So you're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that. But you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment.
DMX brought raw emotion and unfiltered pain. You can't stack them like sports stats. It don't work like that. It was like trying to compare Kendrick Lamar to Future. Both legends, but built from two completely different blueprints. Jim's take didn't feel like opinion anymore. It sounded like revisionist history gone wrong. And to make it worse, he admitted he used to look up to Nas's whole style back in the day. So why the switch up now? Jim really tried it. He brought up Belly, the 1998 cult classic, like that somehow discredits Nas's 30-year legacy in the rap game. That move had folks scratching their heads like, what are we even talking about now? It was clear this wasn't about bars, impact, or cultural shifts anymore. It turned into a desperate reach for status. Jim looked like he was trying to force his way into the upper tier of rap legends, but instead of showing receipts, he just exposed his own insecurities. Trying to downplay Nas to boost his own name, that backfired bad. His whole argument started sounding shaky and hollow, like there was nothing solid holding it up. And just when people thought Jim couldn't push it further, he pulled up on Bag Fuel and dropped his boldest take yet, that he was the reason Nas went viral again. For real? Jim stood there like hip-hop owed him credit for making Nas relevant again. Like the game should say thank you to him for the buzz. The internet clapped back immediately and hard. One fan laid it out plain. The only reason people are even interviewing you is because you're saying wild things about Nas. Catalog. Another user didn't hold back either. The delusional disrespect from Jim is way out of pocket. Instead of gaining respect, Jim just dug himself into a deeper hole, and the rap world is watching every second of it unfold. This is how your reputation starts slipping right in front of everybody. The numbers told the real story. Nas had dropped 3 full-length albums in just 5 years, snagged a Grammy, and was packing out venues across the globe. He stayed relevant not by chasing headlines, but by constantly leveling up his pen game and evolving with the times. Meanwhile, Jim, his music wasn't making noise like that anymore. His name stayed trending more for podcast stunts and wild interviews than actual records. What he thought was a clever move to boost his name ended up looking like a public goodbye letter to his own rap career. That clout chase, it backfired hard. Now rewind to Paris 2024. The Louis Vuitton Spring Summer Show is stacked. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna, LeBron, every cultural heavyweight in one room. Cameras flashing, energy off the charts. Pharrell is making his big debut as Louis Vuitton men's creative director. And boom, everything shifts. The runway soundtrack hits, Clipse. Pusha T and No Malice are back together, and the speakers are blasting. But this wasn't just some stylish reunion, it was a lyrical ambush. Pusha took that high-fashion moment and turned it into a battleground. His verses sliced through the luxury vibes like a knife, and he made sure those bars had targets. Even Jay-Z gave a subtle nod of approval. That's how sharp the message was. This wasn't a random flex. This was calculated, direct, and soaked in meaning. That bar, chasing a feature out of your element, hit like a warning shot, and everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. It was aimed straight at Jim Jones, especially after Jim linked up with Drake, who once called him an honorary Dipset member live in Harlem.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
That alignment, Pusha clearly wasn't impressed. He flipped the glitz of the runway into a moment of lyrical war and let the world know Jim was way out of his depth. Let's not forget, this is the same Drake that Pusha T demolished in The Story of Adidon. That diss was so vicious, the aftershocks are still being felt. And Push didn't drop that casually on some random upload site. Nah, this was cold, calculated strategy. Just like Paris Fashion Week wasn't chosen by accident, it was a global power stage. While Jim Jones was out here tossing sound bites on Breakfast Club, Rap Caviar, and Drink Champs, hoping to bait someone into clapping back, Pusha kept quiet. He watched, waited, then boom, he dropped chains and whips in front of billionaires, high fashion titans, and hip-hop royalty. That wasn't a performance, it was a message. Push wasn't out here playing by industry rules. He flipped the script and used luxury as the new battlefield. Pharrell produced the record, of course, a longtime Clipse ally, and the perfect bridge between Virginia's street soul and global high fashion. The track wasn't just made in any old studio either. It was recorded right inside Louis Vuitton's Paris headquarters, overlooking the Seine River. Pharrell himself confirmed that to the New York Times, pointing to the very room where the beat was built. That's next level. As Pusha T made runway poetry out of revenge, Nas was busy in Queens, quietly reinforcing his legacy, far away from the chaos. While Jim chased online clout, Nas launched Resorts World Queens, a $5 billion mega project with a casino complex covering 350,000 square feet. This ain't just about music anymore. Nas is talking real power now. Infrastructure, equity, long-term wealth for a whole borough, and he's doing it without needing to scream about his relevance. Let that sink in. Two legends, two completely different lanes. While Nas and Pusha T were out here moving like chess masters, calculated, quiet, and undeniably powerful, Jim Jones was still trying to prove he belonged in the conversation. He was out here bragging about Summer Jam bookings like it was 2008 again, while Nas and Push were playing a whole different game. Nas didn't need to jump in with a diss track. He let his moves and his money do the talking. That post about Resorts World Queens, it hit harder than bars ever could. The culture felt it. Under Nas's announcement, the comments said it all. One fan wrote, "Someone out here chasing clout. Nas is out here buying buildings." Another added, "When you're really respected, you don't tweet, you execute." That's the difference. Nas doesn't argue, he just wins. Meanwhile, Jim finally hit the Summer Jam 2024 stage, thinking it was his big redemption moment. But when he touched that mic, crickets. The crowd wasn't rocking with it. Then came the shocker. Funk Flex, one of Jim's biggest longtime supporters, actually cut his set short. The energy was flat. The moment just collapsed. You could see it. Jim looked stunned. He'd spent weeks building hype, stirring drama, teasing smoke, and when the spotlight finally hit, there was no catalog to back it up, just controversy. And even after the flop, Jim wouldn't let it go. He fired off another shot, this one personal. But while Jim was chasing podcast views and trending quotes, Pusha T was plotting in silence. After the Louis Vuitton runway moment, Push barely said a word, but whispers started circulating. Insiders claimed he was quietly building something serious, something lethal. And if it drops, it might be the knockout blow. Clipse wasn't done, not even close. Their upcoming reunion album is rumored to pack even more heat, with every bar aimed precisely at Jim Jones. No filler, no flailing, just surgical smoke. What we heard in Paris? That was just the intro. Sources say the rest of the project goes even deeper, raw, personal, and absolutely ruthless. Insiders are calling this Push's Coke Bear moment, a turning point where he's done playing nice. He's embracing the villain role full throttle, with zero concern for approval and definitely no room for forgiveness. Pusha T's not looking for peace, he's out here aiming for destruction. And the way he's doing it, precision, power, platform. While Jim's still spitting in Harlem alleyways, Push is dropping diss records from inside Louis Vuitton's HQ, walking runways, and dropping bombs in front of billionaires. That's not just flexing, that's a total repositioning of power. Then Jim made it worse, way worse. He tried to flip the Chains and Whips beat, the same instrumental Clipse used to turn heads in Paris, and dropped his own freestyle over it, but it flopped, hard. The bars didn't land, and the internet let him have it. Still not learning, Jim crossed another line, this time dragging No Malice into the mess. No Malice, who left the rap game to follow a path of faith, had stayed away from the drama. So for Jim to bring his name into it, that wasn't just disrespect, it felt like a violation. And Push, still silent, still calm. But everybody knows, he don't move off impulse. He calculates, he waits. And when he strikes, it's lethal. Then came Jim's final stumble. During an interview, he dismissed Clipse's new single Chains and Whips, acting like he'd never listened to Clipse and never cared to. But it didn't feel like confidence. It felt like straight up deflection. The crowd saw it. The industry felt it. And now, the silence before the storm is getting real loud. The fake calm cracked, and you could feel it. That tension underneath Jim's voice, it gave him away. The energy shifted. This wasn't just Nas stans or Clipse fans reacting anymore. The culture itself started pulling back. What was once rap beef turned into something deeper, a credibility crisis. And Jim, he crossed too many lines to just walk it back. Now the blogs are flaming him. Even die-hard Dipset loyalists are stepping back, saying it's time for Jim to fall back for real. What started as a battle of words became a hard lesson in legacy, class, and restraint. Jim thought he was stepping toe-to-toe with Nas and Pusha T like they were all in the same tier, but instead, he walked into a masterclass and got schooled. While Jim was yelling on every mic he could find, Nas and Pusha responded with silence and strategy. Nas kept stacking wins and building generational power. Push moved in shadows, picking his shots like a surgeon. No petty back and forth, no desperate freestyles, just cold, calculated moves. Now Jim's not trending, he's not in the playlist, he's barely in the conversation. A once respected voice now fading in real time, and the wildest part, that Clipse album, it hasn't even dropped yet. If the rumors are true about what's on that record, that might be the final blow, not just to the image, but to the entire brand. Jim fired shots at giants, and now those giants are closing in without even raising their voices. While Jim fades into background noise, Nas is building empires. Pusha T is circling, quiet, patient, deadly. If you thought this back and forth was wild, what's coming next might be an industry-level takedown. The writing's on the wall. Only question is, will Jim read it before it's too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think's about to happen next? Like this video if it opened your eyes. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And share this with someone still thinking it's all just friendly rap talk. We'll see you in the next one. This saga, oh, it's far from over.